All right. Craig McGinnis?
McInnis.
McInnis.
No G.
No G. C.
Yeah.
Craig McInnis.
Yeah.
In the fucking house. Blake Rothmel, good to officially meet you, my
Yeah,
friend.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is awesome. I appreciate you
Agreed.
being willing to come hang with us here in our little treehouse.
Look at this setup. Seriously.
Is it cool?
Yeah. I've never been here. Shame on me.
No. Well,
I didn't know it
we're
was here.
practically neighbors from the Peach.
True enough. It was 6 minutes. 6 minutes away.
It's right around the corner, which
Yes,
is
sir.
the Peach is another hidden gem.
It is. It is. And we're new, so we're like a best kept secret, which is kind of, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I'm good with it.
I feel like, was that in the 111 Things to Do in Palm Beach? Do you know this book?
No, but it better be.
Yeah, I feel like it was in there. Warehouse, I don't know. We're not, maybe the Warehouse District, but I'll have to check. I'll ask my wife. There's this book that this young lady wrote locally. You can pay for the rights to write this book in your area.
Oh.
So she got the rights to the 111 Things to Do.
All right.
And I swear I feel like the Peach was in it. But if it's not, it definitely should be.
So when was that book? Does that book come out like quarterly, like yearly?
I think she did it just a year or two ago. Was the Peach? It hadn't been
So we're not in
incepted
there.
yet.
No, we're September. We were born in September,
Oh, cool.
so we're coming up on our 1 year.
My wife was born in September as well. Great things come in
Spectacular.
September.
Virgo.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, no, she's actually Libra. Maybe it's
okay.
on the cusp there.
Yes.
Cool. Well, Craig, I usually like to start this off with a very simple.
Yes.
Who are you and what do you do?
I am I'm an artist, for lack of a better description, because that's like an all-encompassing. A couple of my friends say, no, you're a muralist. Well, that's just what I'm doing in this chunk of time, so I'm known for that. But as an artist, it encompasses everything else. So I've had a long career, so I've had the opportunity to do tons of different stuff. So they all fall under that umbrella of artist.
And visual arts.
Visual arts,
Yeah.
and a little bit of music.
Oh, cool.
I spent my 20s chasing a record deal, touring, doing all that jazz.
We
So,
have that in
yeah,
common.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was
hit
pursuing
30.
a rap career.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So I started rapping again recently because that was my second band after I was in a heavy metal band, and that was the Ozfest days and all that. And
Yeah.
we got turned down by the best labels out there, and too stubborn. We didn't want to change and like get into molds or anything like that.
Right.
Long story short, but then I left that behind and got into the rap thing because the rap rock thing was all right, but it was already getting played out. You know, I don't remember what year it got played out in. So I just went straight hip hop with a buddy of mine
No shit.
locally from another metal band. He was leaving the metal scene too. And then, did music for a while. And so recently I've been producing my own tracks and just rapping over them just for fun.
Dude, that's fucking
Because I miss
sick.
rap.
Do you have stuff on the internet?
I do. I've actually, I've got a YouTube channel. It's got my last 3 tracks on there. So yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
What's that?
What are they?
What's the YouTube channel?
Oh, it's just under my name. Craig McInnis.
Craig
Yeah,
McInnis.
MCI.
Sick, dude. Is that your alias? Do you just go by Craig McInnis, or do you have a stage name?
This I don't have a stage name or a street name, by the way. Like a lot of street artists, I'm like on the cusp of being a street artist, but I'm not a graffiti guy.
Right.
But like a lot of my buddies have their moniker and all that. I don't have that.
Yeah.
But no, it's just under my name.
Cool.
And this music is so new and fresh that I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just making it to get my rocks off because my band is on pause since the apocalypse or
Yeah.
COVID.
It felt like the apocalypse, dude.
It did. Everything folded in on itself.
Dude, first 2 weeks of it, I'm like, this is it. This is what the preppers have been prepping for. This is every conspiracy theory I ever thought coming to life. This is it. My
Yeah.
wife's like, you need to calm the fuck down.
I'm like,
dude.
shit, I have no canned food.
Dude,
I
I
like fresh food.
immediately got canned food and firearms.
Sandbags.
Yeah.
Everything.
What a weird couple years, right?
Holy shit.
Well, with the music, though, that's the best way to do it, man. Is just like make what you like.
Yeah.
You know, allow like inspiration to come to you, get it out.
Yep.
It may be terrible or it may be awesome, but that's like the joy of channeling inspiration. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
You're nailing it. That's the same with paintings. Again, I tell my students this. You got to make a bunch of shit paintings to get to the good ones. And
Yes.
if you want to learn from them or laugh at them, then keep them.
Right.
And if you're like, wow, that's garbage, paint over it. And if you're drawing, burn it, crumple it up, erase it,
Yeah.
whatever. Leave it in the book so you can have a laugh.
Right.
But you got to do that. And the same with, I've made tons and tons of songs, as you can imagine,
Yep.
having done it for a while. And you can chuck 70% of them. But in there is like a couple where you're like, damn, if not to toot my own horn or anyone's,
Yep.
but anyone who's made music, you're like, if that was in the right place or someone pitched it to radio at the right time,
Yeah.
be a totally different story right now. So
yeah, it's so true. It's like I used to use the phrases "bake another cake." Like sometimes people get hung up on like, "This is my greatest song," and it's like, dude, bake another cake.
Yeah.
Constantly be creating. I've probably done, I don't know, maybe 1,000 songs. Maybe 15 of them were good.
Exactly.
And that's kind of the nature of the beast. I think one of the challenges is now that it's so easy to put your music online, some young artists are skipping the step of doing 300 songs before they ever put something out. People are putting out their
Sure.
first work, and you only get one chance to make a first impression.
Yep.
You know?
We were guilty of that. Like our first CD is like super mediocre.
Yeah.
In fact, our first demo is better than our first CD. Like our cassette that we put out was
Cassette?
way more solid. Yeah.
You see this?
I just aged myself. I did. I was going to ask you about these. I saw another one over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we rushed through it, but we were young and dumb, and you know the rest of that phrase.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
We just shot it out there as quick as we could, and it was good enough. It was good enough. Metal was like an all-encompassing thing like that. You could pretty much just go out and be loud and obnoxious and flip the bird, and
Right,
people
and
were
you
like,
were metal.
Yeah, metal.
Yeah. What instrument did you play in the band? Were you a vocalist?
In metal, yeah, I was just singing, rapping, and screaming.
Sick. Sick.
Full on screaming, blew out. I probably took the first chunk of my range off of my voice. Like that's why it's low and gravelly now.
Yeah.
It's from all of that. Because during that time, you're talking, I don't know, Korn, Seven Dust, Deftones.
Oh, yeah.
Like that was that time frame. We were created in '94, hit our stride in '96, and pretty much died out by '01 or something like that.
Was that all here in South Florida?
It was, but we abandoned South Florida because we didn't like reach any pinnacle here, but we were packing shows and we were playing too often, and we're like we're watering ourselves down.
Yeah.
And so we knew someone. We got management out of New York, like straight in the heart of the city, and got an entertainment lawyer. Like did the full
You're
shit.
doing it the right
Yeah,
way.
everything but a bus.
Yeah.
Still had a raggedy ass van that stunk like a sock, but everything else was on point. And like I said, I feel good about it because we really did do it the right way. We
Yeah.
didn't just kind of meander around.
Right.
We spent the money. We busted our ass. We got told, you guys are mediocre, or it's to this or it's to that, and so we got that close.
Yep.
And again, no regrets because that made me a better musician now for these other things that I like to do. And also, in hindsight, now without that pressure of I need to get a deal, I want to get a deal, I want to play Ozfest, and all that shit that was in my young brain. Without that in the way, the channel of creativity is just like this wide open river. Before
Right.
it was like this tight pipe where I was trying to jam the creativity through it, and you got these opinions, and like you guys should try a more punk sound or more of that sound, and it was just like we were just too young and stubborn to like. I don't want your constructive criticism, even though you've been in the record business for 50 years.
Right.
You have these geniuses telling you stuff, and we're just like,
We're artists.
F off, buddy.
Fuck you.
yeah, exactly.
No, I totally
It's
get
fine,
that,
though.
man. Well, personally, I pursued a rap career for like 15 years,
No shit.
and I heard you about to mention about turning 30, I think. I turned 30 and then 31, and I was like, all right, a local rapper over the age of 30, not paying my bills for my music, like, I got to put this on the back burner for a while, you know? But
That's a good indicator, right? It's not paying the bills. Like, I'd
That's
come
right.
back with $1 in my pocket.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if we didn't sell T-shirts, we probably would have starved to death.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was 31. It was about when I was like, that's it, man. I mean, we were infighting too. That happens with the pressure.
Oh,
The creativity, actually, the infighting made our last great. Our last CD was great because of all the angst that we were feeling towards each other and towards the business. But then it was that typical thing: record a killer CD and be like, "This is gonna be the one," and then break up,
yeah.
and then we were done.
Dude, it's like the story of bands. It is so challenging to keep everybody on the same page, and then in that industry, you all have, it's all ego driven.
Yep.
And when
Yep.
you're young, it's hard to see from other people's perspectives.
Well, there was none of that,
Right.
and I was all ego. In fact, my last the song that I just put out, that's a hip hop song, is all about what an egghead I was and how I was just like me, and my way. And it's kind of like a joke, like looking back at myself with, responsibility, like hindsight responsibility.
Right.
And kind of like snarkily apologizing to anyone who knew me back then.
I love that.
But also thanking my friends that I still have now. Like, hey, thanks for putting up with my shit all
Right.
these years, watching me, allowing me to grow and not being like, oh, he's an asshole, let's get rid of him,
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a fun song. And that's basically what it was about, because when I look back, I'm like, man, I was such a jackass sometimes. But, that comes with youth, especially when you're doing something that's around aggro feelings and all that
Right.
negativity. Like I don't know what I would have been if I wasn't putting my negative energy into that music. I probably would have been just a
Probably saved your life.
lunatic. Yeah.
Yeah.
A complete lunatic.
Yeah, well, that introspectiveness that comes when you get to your 30s, and that kind of like willing to look back at your past behavior is like, it's very important. And some people never even do that. They just,
Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's been a big awakening for me. My wife kind of held a mirror up at one point in time, and I really didn't like what I saw. And it was an opportunity it was kind of an ego death,
Sure.
which was so important,
Yeah.
and I still remind myself every day, like, it's not the Blake show.
Exactly. It makes you a better person, but if you're doing creative, well, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You could be running a hot dog stand. You're just going to be better at it.
Right.
Because you're looking at it in a 360 view instead of in this little tube that you were in before. Yeah, it took me a while. I'm glad that it happened for you in your 30s. It probably didn't happen to me until my 40s.
Really.
Oh, yeah, I was a shithead for a long time.
It's just like your way or the highway.
Pretty much. And I'm still kind of that way because I'm stubborn. I'm an only child. I've had a really blessed life in general, so a lot of things have gone my way.
Yeah.
So I didn't know how to process when shit didn't go my way. So that lingered. I think not enough adversity is what kept me as a kid longer.
Yeah.
And
Dude,
personal
we're-
responsibility was like not even on the docket.
Yeah. I feel like we're cut from a very similar cloth, my friend.
Cool.
I've had those same challenges about, I kind of always had like a safety net, and which in your 20s when you're pursuing a rap career or music career is
Great.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And then when you're in your 30s and you're married and you have like responsibilities, it's like, shit, I should have learned how to do this way sooner,
Yep.
Joe Rogan often talks about that the challenges in people's lives is what really creates a great person. And when you don't have those challenges and adversities, you can turn into a shithead,
Yeah.
So now I'd like to create my own challenges,
Sure.
God knows
Sure.
I do plenty of that.
AKA goals, or
Yes.
sometimes you just still have your head up your ass and you go, oh my God, I can't believe I made that same mistake again. It's like
Yes.
touching a hot stove how many times? But that's okay. That's the other thing I didn't have was forgiveness for myself for being that way. And now I'm just like, dude, you're human. Cut yourself some slack. It's okay. You'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You might make that mistake again.
Yeah.
We forget stuff. Not the hot stove, but
I watched a podcast that I did last week. I went home and watched it, and I like literally am not posting it because I was so disgusted by I don't know what it was. I smoked some weed afterwards and I watched it, and it was just like I had this perspective of like, dude, like I didn't shut up the whole time. I shared way too much. I didn't let the gentleman, speak. And it was like, dude, like you've gone through all this. Like, it's not the Blake show. So I'm going to do my best to not do that with you today.
well, that's fine.
Craig.
We're rapping. It's cool.
I love that. You mentioned students.
Yes.
Are you an art teacher?
I am. That's a small portion. I mean, kind of stumbled into it by accident. I was working at an art store, and one of the ways to kind of get people in there and get them excited was to offer some free classes. So we were just screwing around with that concept. Eventually, corporate was like, no, that's terrible. Don't do anything for free. But it got me into it. And one of my cohorts was a veteran of the public school system. He had taught for 30 years. So I was like gleaning information off of him about his teaching style and, why he did what and how he did what and what books he taught from. And so I got hooked on it, especially when I saw that I could charge some decent money.
Yeah.
And most of my success as a teacher, and it's still growing, of course, it's not where it needs to be, but is independently. Like I do it out of another art store. They let me use their room and I give them a cut. I do some at my studio. So I'm looking at it like, at first, like I said, stumbled into, and now I'm looking at it like, oh, this is going to be one of those things that I do into the sunset, because
Right.
even when I'm old, my bones are creaking, I could still do this
You
because
can Bob Ross
yeah,
the shit out of it.
no shit. As long as the brain is working, and I actually love it. So take the money part out of it. It's awesome to see people like their face lights up when they get onto another plateau and they're like, holy crap, I just had a realization in my art, or this painting is like 10 times better than the last one.
Yes.
Because you told me that one thing, or it may have nothing to do with me. It's just like they're in there, they're feeling the energy of the other students or whatever. So yeah, very fulfilling. All teachers would probably say that it's fulfilling to, even if they're teaching guitar or whatever, it's
Right.
like to see someone like sprout, it's like
Yeah.
spectacular. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I'm digging it.
that feeling of have a thought becoming a thing, whether it's with music or whether it's a piece of art, or I do like graphic design, when you have an idea that once wasn't even an idea,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden you get the idea, and now there's this tangible thing. That's a feeling like no other.
I know.
So when you can share that with somebody and they get that feeling feeling of like, holy shit, I made this.
Something from nothing. It's insane.
Yeah.
And I take it for granted sometimes too. Like even my least favorite painting, someone would be like, amazing, you know, and it's all about perspective, right? Eye of the beholder. And I'm like, oh, you think so? I'm kind of trash. But I forget the fact that it was just a white rectangle before.
Right.
And now it's a whatever it is. And you know, that's in itself amazing. Even if it's a mediocre rendering of whatever the hell it was, still it's a blessing. So that's another thing that came with age is looking at what I have as a true blessing. And then one step further to try to use it to enrich other people. That sounds corny, like some kind of like,
It's not.
hold
corny,
on, let me
man.
get my crystal out.
They're everywhere, dude. We literally, I don't know if you can see. Oh, she's got. Oh yeah, they're
yeah, I
hidden
do
by the
see.
TV. They're embedded in the bar top.
Oh, great.
They're everywhere,
Great.
dude.
Yeah, I'm not snarking on it, but I'm saying
No, I
like,
get it.
when I said that sentence, I was like, oh Jesus.
No, it seems like hoopla or whatever, but it's not, dude.
No.
It's not. We get a short ride on this fucking earth, man. And if you have a chance to enhance somebody's human experience, like it is so rewarding.
Yep.
Back to the rewarding word.
Yep.
And then also it's like, you know, paying it forward, because then that's just going to grow with people helping people and
Karma,
inspiration.
too.
Karma is a real fucking thing, man.
Absolutely. I mean, call it whatever you want. People will tie it to a religious thing. That's fine.
Right.
Whatever works, but however you want to put it out there. And it's that took me a while to realize, like, and without fail, I would do something very without thought.
Yes.
Like, oh, you need a painting or you need something for, I donate a piece of art to some cause or whatever that I believed in. And no shit. I mean, within 2 or 3 weeks, if I was paying attention, I would see
Blessings.
like an opportunity. Yeah, like an opportunity that a door that opened that I was never even looking for the freaking door. And I was like, that's because of that. There's no freaking doubt in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just kept doing it. I was like, all right, every month there's going to be something like that. And actually, now that we're talking about it, it's been a little bit. I'm due for one, but to do something like that, that's selfless, and it's not instant, but it's always just down the road when I'm like, oh my God, the bank account's dwindling, and then poof, there's something like some amazing project, or some person's like, hey, you wanna come on my podcast?
Yeah, now we get to share with the 12 people who watch this how amazing you
Cheers.
are. We have this phrase we say in our family, next right thing. And it took me a long time to really learn it and understand what it meant. But in life, you are every day faced with choices, you know. And the best way for us, and that what we live by, is that every choice that you face, what's the next right thing, correct thing, good thing that I can do in this situation? And before I wouldn't even think about it. I would go with the next fun thing, the next best thing, right?
Sure.
But now that I focus on doing the next right thing, it seems like you said, like doors open up.
Yeah.
You know.
That requires which is not necessarily human nature, especially not now with the way things are speeding up. That takes you to stop a beat, you know, and be like, it's kind of like anger management or anything else where you just count to 10. So the next fun thing is easy. That's human nature. Like, oh, I want this cool thing, or I want to do that amazing thing, or I want to eat that bad food or whatever. But if you just give it that one little, all right, that sounds great, but this is the right thing. I like that. Next right thing. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
my mom shared it with me, and her father shared it with her, and now it's something in our family that we try to uphold, you know?
Yeah.
Art for you. So when you were talking about t-shirts and merch for the band, at that point in time, were you doing art? Were you making merch?
That was the only thing I was doing with my art. So I did the typical graduate from art school and then just be like, And my mom, you know, I tell this story, and she probably wasn't as upset as I make her sound in these stories, but it was kind of like, you have a degree, and let me get this straight. Now you're joining a band and going on the road. It sounds counterintuitive, sir, especially since we're still paying off the loans.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was no drama because she's very supportive. She was like, okay, I mean, you know, do your thing.
Right.
Yeah, and I was still living at home because I was still a young punk. But I got sidetracked. But yeah, the art that I was doing was only for the band, but it was very helpful because I had gone to school for design and stuff like that. So yeah, doing the silkscreen t-shirts, not myself, but like designing them, all the CD covers, everything that had to do with our visuals. Eventually, this is before the internet, kids. Eventually,
Like
when we
what?
got a website, you know, I was doing me and the guitar player were doing most of the imagery for that. Yeah, when we were doing flyers, we were still doing them like
Hand drawing flyers.
hand drawn and like that. What do you want to call it? Ransom note, where you had to actually cut shit out and like glue stick it together and go to Kinko's and make flyers.
That's still fucking awesome.
Because like it's 94.
Yeah,
You're talking
well,
1994.
I'm a fan of this cat Machine Gun Kelly.
Yeah.
Used to be a rapper. Now he's doing like pop punk.
Yeah.
He has one of his best friends. His name is Mod Sun. He was like a hippie weed rapper. Now he's like the pop punk revival.
Cool.
He's his like artistic director on a lot of stuff. But they started doing the flyers for their shows where like they were cutting things up and gluing it down.
Love it.
It's just so much character and so much creativity, Yeah,
there's like grimy thumbprints on it and everything. because
Yes.
I can't believe Kinko's. Shout out to Kinko's in Boynton. That's not there anymore. Because we would take over like a section of that place and we'd be in there for hours.
Right.
Just like copying stuff and like, bringing in magazines and tearing stuff out and like mashing things together. So thanks, guys, for letting us get glue and scum and sweat everywhere all over your store.
Dude, I'm not going to lie. You've inspired me just in that I think I'm going to work on some piece of marketing material that will do that way. It's such a great
All
idea.
the letters that are different fonts.
Yes.
Like, it's illegible, but in a punky kind of, and it fit the metal aesthetic, because
Right.
it was just chaotic and everything was just like slammed together. It is that punk aesthetic. And
Yeah.
But we didn't know any other way to do it. There was no typesetting. You didn't have, maybe you had Corel Draw or some other
Corel
like
Draw. That was like
archaic-
the first one.
Yeah, but we didn't even have that. So
Right.
we're just like, oh, screw it. We'll find the words in a People magazine and we'll cut them out and we'll say what we want to say.
It's brilliant, man. By any means necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in 2000, I think you said you kind of pulled away from the band a bit.
Yeah, 01. I think it's all blurry. Early 2000s. So right back to art.
Yeah.
But day jobs to try to hold it together because coming off the road and all that stuff, I had, like you, I was like, damn, I don't know anything else. All I know is how to do is scream into a microphone.
Right.
Oh, that's right. I got this art stuff that I went to school for.
Yes.
So I went right back into it. But it was slim pickings out there. I ended up doing like faux finishing and stuff like that. That's what got me really back to where I am now doing
What's
murals.
faux finishing?
That's like when you do like washes and fake wood. It's usually residential.
Yeah.
But then like think about eventually like Cheesecake Factory. They have that gold kind of washy stuff all over their walls. So then
Yep.
it ended up showing up in restaurants. So it was lucrative, but it's like super boring. It's not totally artistic. It's not drawing. But it got me back in the game. And then there was a couple heavy hitters around here that started doing group art shows. And then I met a bunch of the people that I still know now. You ever heard of the artist Teresa Korber?
I have not.
Okay. And her dad, Michael Korber. Well, Teresa, and she was quite young at the time. She's still younger than me, but she was super young, and she was putting this group art show together at what used to be the Lounge, which is now Hullabaloo. And it was a pop-up, and there was all these stations, and we were all doing live art, and then there was body painting and a DJ and like
Sick.
it was like that would be kick-ass now. And it's
Yes.
not happening now. But she was doing this in the early 2000s. The shows were themed to be Willy Wonka or Love or anything. And so it got me painting because
Right.
that was my client. Like I didn't have real clients commissioning me for paintings, but I knew that in 6 weeks there was a Willy Wonka show.
Yeah.
So I had to bang out a killer painting so I could, strut my peacock feathers and,
Yes.
rub elbows with my brethren and sisters. And that became like a little family, and it got me super inspired because I was elbow to elbow with all these kick-ass artists that were like better than me or beginning their journey or whatever. And it opened my eyes up, changed my perception, and got me back in the game. I abandoned music for a while. Yeah.
Well, until now, you're about to this resurgence of this hip hop career.
Oh, dude, there's like 5 bands after Gone Mad. Gone Mad was the metal band, and then there was 5 other ones after that. I've been super blessed there too. The hip hop band got to play Sunfest a couple times. and-
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
Dude, West Palm Beach seems to be. I'm not a native. I was born in Fort Lauderdale, grew up in like Fort Lauderdale, then Deerfield, went to Boca High and whatnot. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
I got your own
No,
independent
I was just
volume.
readjusting.
Yeah, absolutely. West Palm Beach seems to have a real appreciation for the arts. The city is covered in murals.
Yeah.
A lot of cities seem to turn their nose up at stuff like that. But for whatever reason, and at some point in time, it seems like it was fully embraced.
I would give it within the last 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
Is when it set off. And it started with you seen Emo, Eduardo Mendietta's work around town. Emo is like
I think so.
one of the first to, and Amanda, she does the girls with the empty eyes, with the
Okay.
white eyes. Anyway, way long ago, they were doing stuff. They were it was not unsanctioned, but it was like in the cut. like they do one wall over here. So it was hidden, these little hidden gems. And then once the doors busted wide open, there was a thing called Canvas where a bunch of heavy hitters from around the world came here and put up like, I don't know, 12 or 16 murals all in the course of like a month. And like that's the Einstein over at Subculture Coffee and stuff like that. And these are people who do stuff all over the globe. So it was a big tourist attraction for West Palm. A lot of the local artists were pissed off because these ringers were coming in and taking their walls and all that. Yeah. And I get that, but that's past history now. But what it did do was it greased the wheels. And the city started to have a realization. The realization that a lot of cities don't have is that it's a tool to revitalize. That sounds like a corny phrase, but worked in South Philly. It's working in Detroit right now. It's worked in tons of places that were downtrodden. You put a mural up, it changes public perception by 5%, 10%, whatever the hell it is. And now even an investor's like, what's up with that neighborhood over there that used to look shitty and now it's got a peacock mural on it or whatever. And I think West Palm saw that occurring on some degree. And the art in public places process became cleaner and simpler to apply for a permit. It wasn't expensive. And the floodgates just kind of opened up. I mean, I'm really encapsulating it and shortening probably the amount of red tape and loopholes that were in the way. But now it's almost like sometimes I get people who are like, I don't want a mural. There's too many murals. I'm like, that's awesome.
Right.
I mean, not for me, but it means there's a shitload of murals and that people are getting like, that's yesterday's news.
Yeah, I've said that about tattoos for years, that we're all going to get covered in tattoos, and eventually the outlier will be the person who's not tattooed.
It's getting there.
You know?
It is getting there.
I worked in tattoo shops for years. My friends, they started off tattooing us in the kitchen, and then people would start asking, like, oh, where'd you get that? Where'd you get this? And then they end up opening a shop. I managed the shop for a while, a couple different shops.
Nice. Which ones?
This was in North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
There was Infamous Ink and Sink or Swim Tattoo. Mike Ferris and Elijah Blackwell. Dear friends of mine, talented dudes.
Charlotte. I was in Charlotte for a bit.
Really?
And I was in the tattoo game. We are cut from the same cloth.
We are, dude.
I was an apprentice for about 2 years.
Were you in? Where were you?
I was in Lauderdale, Tamarack.
No, when you were when
I was apprenticing.
When I was in
Charlotte. When I was in Charlotte, I was working in the event business, doing like backdrops and stuff like that. Painting.
Oh, okay.
I was painting in Charlotte.
I
nosedove.
Do you have work there? Is it called Northwood? Not Northwood. Noda. Are you familiar with?
I do know
North
Noda,
Davidson?
but Noda was a crap hole when I was there. It was just starting.
Yeah.
It was cool as hell. Oh, jeez. 04.
Yep.
03.
That's funny.
Like
I moved to North Carolina in 2003, man.
No shit.
Yeah, and then I spent the next almost 15 years there.
I got fed up with West Palm, and I was like, this place is beat, whatever. It's one of those things where you think you're going to reinvent yourself somewhere, but you're there again. So whatever mental crap, now it's in Charlotte.
Yes. My mom says no matter where you go, there you are. Yeah.
So I was in Charlotte with my ex, and we did drum up some business. Like I said, backdrops for like social party companies that do like these big extravaganzas. And but within a year, we were living off credit cards and sucking dust. So we moved back.
Yeah. Like tail tucked.
A couple of punks, big chunky credit card debt. But lesson learned. Charlotte was lovely. I had some great friends up there. That's why we went there. We had a couple people that were gunning for us, but they weren't connected enough. And the South is the South. It's very cliquey to generalize. And if you don't know a few people, it's it's kind of like you're out of there. And that's everywhere, I guess. You gotta know people to get things done. But Charlotte. It was a good learning experience, and I do love North Carolina. We traveled. We do the Blue Ridge whenever we can.
Yes.
Spectacular.
You ever had a chance to do the Biltmore Estate?
Done the Biltmore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so sick.
Yes. Dude. Yes. We did it on our last trip, and I was like, holy shit, I forgot. There's fireflies. That was the place where I saw those again. Since I was a kid, I haven't seen them because I'm a Connecticut boy, so I didn't really grow up here. Got down here when I was 19, but yeah, Biltmore, North Carolina definitely has my heart. I'll probably try to be a snowbird and my wife and I are totally enamored with it, so we might try to do summers up there,
dude.
Get higher altitude.
My wife and I are looking at like within the next couple of years fucking going. Danielle's from upstate New York, and they call people in Charlotte halfbacks. These are people who move from New York to Florida and then come halfway back to Charlotte. But I think we want to raise a family there. It's just it's just a beautiful place to live.
Simpler too.
Yeah, much simpler. And the cost of living down here is getting insane.
It's obnoxious. It's obnoxious.
Insane. Like all of us, like working class people, are getting priced out of a place to live.
Yep.
You know, it's unfortunate.
Eventually, like if I didn't have this long career leading up to now, because like a lot of my business is referral, just from being here so long, I'd probably be gone already. I gotta be honest. It's the business that keeps me here. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of lovely people here, and I've made tons of great friends over all these years. I've been down here since 1991. But unfortunately, what you're saying is really what it boils down to. Like if my rent keeps creeping up, and my landlord's very nice to us, he didn't do the thing. He's not gouging us. But if it goes this way, and a freaking fruit salad is $12, you know, it's like, what do you want me to do with this?
Yeah, you got to win the lottery or find another plan.
I'm scratching and clawing now. Like the claws are already out. What do you want me to do? So yeah, it's getting ugly. But I'm preaching to the choir.
No,
everyone who watches this is going to feel the same way because it's getting obnoxious. And it's not just here. I imagine anywhere that's relatively metropolitan, people are getting squoze out.
Yeah. Well, the last couple years too, it was like, you know, we stayed open, and there's different people have different opinions about that. But the people who were locked down, they're like, fuck that, we're out of here. And now they're like swarmed to Florida, you know, which is like, it's good for the economy. You know, my wife and I are local business owners, and we love that there's people who live here to come to our business, you know, but we also have to be able to afford a place to live.
Yeah, especially if you're going to raise a family.
Yeah.
Because every damn thing is going to cost, you know, it's going to be through the roof. So yeah, it's snowbird is kind of a funny thing, but that's basically what it would be, sort of, you know, when it's oppressively hot here, try to go to a higher altitude.
Yeah.
And then when it starts to get damp and scummy there, you come down here.
That's the dream, dude.
Because basically then you got to hold two properties, or you got to be so modular that you can just be like, okay, throw it in a van and come down here, which I don't think we're minimalist, but we're not that quite minimal. So
my wife and I, we've said it, we could do van life, but we've also been honest with ourselves that we could probably do it for about a year.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
We'd love to. Actually, it's definitely a bucket list. So like van life, go across the country, live in a van.
Agreed.
You know, but we also, you know, we like nice things, and we want to have a yard and stuff, you know?
I mean, recliner. Yeah, that's the end of it. I'm not going to truck one back and forth, but it's a must.
Yeah, you had me at recliner.
Where am I going to fall asleep watching a half-ass movie if I don't have that? What am I going to have, a cot?
It's so true.
Well, it's small and it fits in the van. Yeah,
dude,
it's terrible.
believe it or not, we have slept on an air mattress on the floor here. The first 4 months we were open, we slept here every night. So that we could, work late, start early. And it was, dude, we could have lived like this. If we had a shower and stuff, we would have just sold our house and just lived here, you know?
We are that type of people. So I'm being funny about the recliner thing, but it is possible. And a good air mattress, no joke. Like when my dad comes down to visit, we give him the bedroom, obviously. Yeah. And we got a nice air mattress, and I could do that. Yeah. I could do that.
It's like glamping.
It is glamping.
You know?
We've done some glamping because I'm not fully into camping anymore. I think I've crossed over.
My wife was raised in upstate New York, and she's like as rugged as they get. That's awesome. Know? And I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, you know. She talks about her fear of bears. I'm like, babe, the only thing I ever thought about a bear was like Smokey the Bear or Winnie the Pooh. Like, I'm never thinking that a bear is something I have to be afraid of.
No.
And she has like a true fear of bears because it's a real fucking problem, you know.
Imagine you're camping, you hear the rustling. It's like, nah,
no thanks.
That's what keeps me out of it, kind of. Like even in Florida, just the creepy crawlies, I'm not into it. I'm just not. I don't know. I think I pushed out. I used to like camping. Connecticut, we camped. You know, we hiked. We did all that. Although hiking is always on the list for as long as I can move. That is the best. That's why we love Blue Ridge.
Yeah. There's something about the connection that us as human animals have with the outdoors. Like you thinking about thousands and thousands of years that we basically lived in the woods.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're all so separated from that with these boxes that we live in and climate control. And, you know, when you get back out into nature, you know, for most people, there's this feeling of like that you can't explain. It's so primal. It's so like goes back to our very roots.
It's a must too.
Yeah, it is a must. There's like grounding.
I think that's a lot. I think that would solve a lot of societal issues if it was like a mandate. Okay, at least twice a month you have got to go out into the woods and stare at a tree or take your shoes off and step in the stream or whatever the hell it is. Because, I think people this is like a food discussion too. I think people feel disconnected from animals and nature, like as if we're some other thing.
Yes.
But like again, with that whole like hippy dippy shit, we're all just stardust. All this was made out of the same thing, so we are the same.
Yes.
As a rock or a salamander or anything else. Not exactly, but yeah. I mean, yeah, we're these little creature comfort things that live in boxes. It's cute.
Well, I talk about that often, this symbiotic relationship that you can see so often in nature, whether it's honeybees and pollinating and just the way that, like the way a prey eats predator, everything in that predator, the way predator eats prey, everything in that prey is designed for the predator, like whether it's the fur helping for digestion or the bones helping cleaning the teeth.
Isn't that amazing? Everything
is symbiotic and by design, but for some reason, we think it's okay to eat McDonald's every day.
But also we're dicking. There's one thing I don't really care for is the dicking around with it. Like I'm all for science, but like if a system is working and it's collapsing because of our bullshit, the fix is to stop the bullshit, not go and figure out how to make a robot be. Sorry, cut the shit, whatever it is. I'll give up my 5G today. I'm not even joking. I'm one of these idiots who's like, I don't care. Take the internet down. I don't give a shit. I'll go back to payphones. I would hate it.
Everybody would probably be better off. I mean, we wouldn't be able to do fun things like this.
But
I think the internet is destroying us.
It is, because it's Pandora's box. There's tons of great stuff about it, of course, but it's the other side of it and the misuse, and just like any kind of thing comes down the pike where it's like an amazing invention and it's going to change the world. There's a slice right down the middle. There's two sides of the coin. Yeah. All this stuff is positive, but guess what? Other side of the coin, people misusing. I mean, the internet is a trash pile for scumbags, right? They're just loving it. The scams are out of this world. I was just thinking about the scams today. We were talking about it. I feel so bad for, like, what kind of human being scams an old person? But anyway, I don't want to get on a tirade.
No, I get it, dude. We're selling our couch right now on Facebook Marketplace, and I don't trust anybody. You know, I start thinking to myself, like, I don't think you're ever going to get this couch sold, because anybody who reaches out to me, like if they have like one picture on their profile and nothing, I'm like, this isn't a real person.
It's a bot.
You know? Yeah, it's a bot, or it's like some weird story. But the internet is a way for terrible people to take advantage of other people. Obviously, you can also has all the information in the world on it.
Lovely.
And we can now voice search to find out, the latitude and longitude of the Great Pyramid of Giza.
Sure.
Did you know that the latitude and longitude of that pyramid are the speed of light? If you put all the digits together, the latitude and longitude of the Great Pyramid of Giza is the exact speed of light. Is that insane?
Yes, but I mean, it ties into the whole thing. If you believe in like this, that we were either placed here, or that there's definitely some other life that came here and did blah blah blah, and then we got to this place, then that makes total sense. That would make sense, because everything's like everything's interconnected. Back to what you were saying about us and nature, as if we're two separate things. Everything completely makes sense somewhere down the road when we start to understand more of it. Like you got your Hawkings and all these things where they start connecting the dots, and you're like, holy shit, well, yeah, obviously, but we just never thought it before. Yeah, I'm totally for that. I'm not big on conspiracies, but some of this stuff's just completely inexplicable.
Do you think aliens visiting Earth is potentially a conspiracy, or do you think this is a probability?
I think it's a probability. I think it's either inevitable, or I don't know what words to use, but it's connected somehow. It either already occurred, is currently occurring, or is about to, or all of that. But also, like, it's one of these things, like, you could go on forever, because if there's everyone says this about aliens, right? Or maybe they don't. If there's another life form that can get here, especially undetected, if they're able to do all that, then they're able to do tons of shit that we can't even fathom.
Right.
So they could be here now, right? That whole They Live movie from back in the 90s. They're here, they're in disguise, and everyone wants to make them nefarious. My wife's a big proponent of, why do they always have to be like a negative thing? Well, it's not Independence Day with Will Smith. It could be just they're here trying to help us, and we're just like refusing it or whatever.
Yeah.
Don't know. I'd like that movie. I'd like to watch that movie.
Of them here to help us?
Yeah, where we're just like, nah, we're good.
Yeah.
I got my Big Mac.
I think there's that's a potentiality. I have a theory that they don't just visit here, that they may have been here before us. I think that they potentially live under the ocean, and maybe even we are, that's the best place to hide.
The Atlantis thing.
And I think NASA started exploring the oceans, and then after a couple years, they're like, nah, we're going to go with space. Maybe they ran into something down there that they said, "Wait, let's go outward."
That seems quite feasible. I mean, the Earth the Earth's got a lot going on. There could be tons of stuff under us that we don't even,
Yeah.
Because you got that cross section that you see in an Earth science book,
Right.
but that's a theory. I mean, I know they know to a degree, but they don't know what's going on. And there's tons of caverns and all this other stuff going on. So yeah, I dig that one.
Yeah.
Because the ocean's definitely outer space, inner space, whatever.
Have you seen like an octopus? Dude, this is to me an alien on Earth.
Totally. Insects too.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
What?
Sometimes I watch these David Attenborough things,
yeah.
and I feel like I'm watching something from another planet.
How about all the bioluminescence crap, the stuff that never saw the sun and it's way down there, and it looks like you're just like, what the shit is that? It's like 5 things combined together into one animal, and you're just like, okay, so that's here.
I think that aliens are real, and they're not as alien as we think. They just live in our oceans. You know what I mean? We don't know anything about them.
Exactly. I'm not looking for these eggheads, although that would be cool, the grays or whatever. But
yeah.
I think those things down there they're just not, or they're just like probes, or what do you want to call them? They're just they're here.
Probes is a good word, or drone or an avatar of sorts.
They're collecting information about whatever, or they're going out and exploring for the greater beings or whatever the hell it is. But yeah, I'm for all of that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Why not? It's a fun, excuse my term, my crudeness here, but it's like mental masturbation. You know what I mean? It's just fun to think about. And as long as you don't spiral out of control with it, or shoot through the floor of a pizza parlor,
get obsessed.
It's okay to think about stuff like this.
Well, this is this leads us back kind of to the internet thing, because I think one of the things the internet, even though you have all the information at the tips of your fingers, it's actually somehow cutting down on critical thinking and cutting down on creative thinking. Whereas a lot of my artist friends, it's just a tool. And it's one of many things that are in your tool belt.
Yeah.
Intuition is another one. Critical thinking, knowing when you're wrong, all that stuff. And then the internet is just like, oh, I need to know, I'm drawing an elephant. Where's the tusk? Is it really close to the eye? Is it over here? I don't know. So it's reference. But people are using it as a crutch. And I'm guilty of this too.
Yeah.
My spelling has gone way down the freaking tubes.
Same.
I went to school in Connecticut. I'll give Connecticut an A+ on the schools there, at least then. And now I'm kind of I feel dopey sometimes. I'm like, when do I use an apostrophe S? Screw it. I'll let Microsoft Word tell me.
Not only that, but the phone has the predictive text, so you get a few letters in, and then you just click the word. My spelling has gone to shit also. My grammar, and I was a lyricist and a rapper, and one of my biggest passions is language, the English language, and the use of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like you said, dopey sometimes, because you use this as a crutch.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we're talking about the symbiotic relationships we have with Earth. I wanted to touch back on, we were talking about taking our shoes off and going outside. So, you ever seen these pads you put on the bottom of your feet that absorb all your toxins? It's like old Chinese therapy.
No.
They used to sell them on TV. You put this pad on the bottom of your feet and it pulls all the toxins out of your feet, right? Well, then I started thinking when you walk barefoot on the earth, it's like this, it's grounding, right? Yeah. Well, that's probably by design. How you fertilize the earth? The toxins that come out of our feet are probably good for the earth, and it's a symbiotic relationship. We're all wearing fucking shoes.
Guess where it's trapped.
Yeah.
And then what does it do? It just kind of soaks back in.
Yeah. I think we should all kind of try to get back to the fact of becoming one with nature again in one way or another. You said, go outside, get, not only that, vitamin D. One of the leading causes of, or comorbidities with COVID was vitamin D deficiency.
Isn't that crazy?
And it's sun is free.
We just do one simple thing. Besides, all our trips are all about hiking. We flew to Vegas because I got friends there, but it was really about going to the Grand Canyon.
Sick.
And going to Zion. So we're always hiking. But here, the hiking's not great, right?
Yeah.
You can go in the scrub and get baked like a potato. So the one thing that we do, though, is just walk the dogs.
Yeah.
You got a friggin' dog. Or if you don't have a dog, just walk around the park. And we just go right over there on Southern and whatever the hell Dreher. And it's no big deal, but trees, birds, ducks, lizards.
Yeah.
It's just something, and it works. We do it every Sunday, and then every Monday I feel rejuvenated.
It's so important.
It works.
We forget because you get caught in this rat race.
I'm busy.
You know, you're like, gotta keep going, gotta keep going. But it's like you find time for other things. Like we got to find time to go outside.
And when I'm not busy, I want to relax.
Right.
Well, you can relax.
Yeah, it's relaxing to
Take
go
a stroll.
outside. Yeah, it's so true. That's one of the things I thought was weird about the early. I mean, obviously, we didn't know what COVID was, and it was scary time, and it could have killed 10% of the population. But to say that, like, walks, you know, I read this list of 30 things that are dangerous, and on it were like a hike or like a national park. And I'm like, these are the important things. If anything, go outside and just steer clear of people, right? Because this thing's transmissible and you don't know whatnot. But yeah, I think it's so important. The other side of it is nighttime, right? We have so much light pollution that we are now separated from the cosmos.
Yeah.
You know, my wife talks about when in upstate New York,
oh my God,
the stars, she says it feels like you're standing on a rock flying through space, how much you can see.
Yeah, it's
know?
vast.
And it's like out there in the West, like Colorado or Utah. I've never had a chance to experience anything really like that.
We, not to sound like we're travel buffs, because I'm going to mention another country. It's like I'm dropping names.
Yeah,
I also know Flavor Flav.
Flavor Flav.
No, but we went to Peru, and we were in the Andes because our trip was doing all the sacred sites.
Wow.
Talk about getting your ass handed to you by nature, mixed with ancient civilization. But it wasn't so much about, this story isn't about Machu Picchu. We're just at one of the lodges or hostels that we stayed at. But it's a village, so there is no street lights. So there's a couple down there by the middle of the village where the fountain is. Other than that, nothing, man. So we've got the elevation, and we've got absolutely no light pollution.
Yeah.
And I swear to God, it's just exactly what I felt like they were, like we were amongst it. Like they were down where we were, because we had such elevation too. And it just dead quiet and so dark that it wasn't dark. You know those overexposed photos you see or videos where you could see a shit ton of the Milky Way?
Yes.
It wasn't that vibrant because, you know, our eyes are not camera shutters, but it felt like that.
Yeah.
I was just like I'd never seen it before.
Yeah. Well, a lot of us, you know, it's rare that you do get to see it in that
Related
way.
story.
Yeah.
Saw aliens. No shit. No shit. A freak. We were talking about it. And admittedly, we were smoking weed, but it wasn't the weed. Something did something that shouldn't be done. It wasn't like, oh, cool, a plane.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
It did this zippity doo-dah, like
That's
square
so
movement.
sick, dude.
And my wife is like, she wants to be abducted because she's like, get me off this rock. And I'm like, I don't want my intestines pulled out. Like, I have the negative thing going on. Like, too many movies.
Right.
I was like, we got to get back to the room. She's like, oh, hell no.
She's like, let's see if we can get E.T. to come closer.
Yeah, she's like, wants to share Reese's Pieces. And I'm like, nah, they're gonna pull my fingernails off with pliers.
I have a constant, I'm always looking to the sky. Like, I just want to see it so badly, you know? Maybe it's just because things have gotten so fucking weird and down here on Earth.
There's got to be a solution.
Right.
In the skies.
Can we talk about your creative process?
Yeah.
When you paint, what's your process like?
It's all over the map because I do work for myself, which is the most fun because that's nice and egocentric. So there's no desired outcome other than get your art jollies. I do client work. So someone specifically saying, I have a concept and I want you to bring it to life. And if they're a non-creative, that's probably the coup de grace. That's one of the hardest things to do, is to get an idea out of a non-creative person's brain who probably they don't even have it fully formed yet. So you're helping them form it, and then you're bringing it to life. So I do that, and then there's a lot of in-betweens there. So the process changes, obviously, depending on what it is. But let's talk about the purest one. The purest one is painting for myself.
Yeah.
And if it's based in reality, let's say there's recognizable things or characters or something like that, then it starts in the sketchbook. Starts with an idea. Could be a word, could be a lyric, could be a song, could be a book, movie. But it derives from somewhere, or a mashup of things, and then it goes into the sketchbook usually, or now these days I use the iPad, Procreate. And then if it lands on its feet, then it goes to canvas, because my favorite media is painting, is acrylic paint. So yeah, most of the magic, as it were, as far as concept, happens in the book, in the sketchbook, on a smaller scale, 9x12 or something like that. And then the bringing it to life and lighting and magical shit and all that Dali ripoff stuff that I love all happens when the paints come out. And
That's the rendering. That's the full rendering.
Yeah, that's a whole other world, because the lights and the shapes and the forms all exist in the sketchbook, but it's all monochromatic, all black and white, sometimes gray. But then when I take it to the canvas, and I like to have it fleshed out in the book, because then I'm not thinking about the fundamental stuff. Now all I'm thinking about is frosting and pixie dust. So that's why I love painting, because I do a lot of lead up, and then when I get to the canvas, it's just all about trying to put magic on the canvas and have people go, what the hell am I looking at?
Yeah.
And conversely, my wife is the exact opposite. She just thinks about it. She has no sketchbook, and boom, she goes to the canvas.
Straight to canvas.
I'm like, but how? I'm like, how do you know? She's like, it's just very intuitive for her, and I'm very much
like a little
more
regimented. Yeah.
That's the word.
So when you have this idea, whether it's a word or a song, do you in your head see what you think the final image is going to look like, or do you find one little entity of it, do that, and then you're like, oh, what if this? Oh, what if that?
It's that.
It's like this organic finding of the things.
Yep. And especially with you saw the socio-political ones that I have. So I've got one in there. Yeah. My favorite in there right now is about mass media, which we could do 10 podcasts about that bullshit. But it started with the old school microphone, the squarish microphone, like the one that Elvis used and whatever, and how that kind of looks like a rib cage. And so I got addicted to the fact that those spines that go around the side kind of look like a rib cage. So I just sketched that. And it was on a bias, so it had like the nice three-dimensional thing, 2-point perspective. And I started to play with that, and then I put a head on it. And then I was like, all right, the bottom's a boat. And then, it's in a hot tub, and then so on and so forth. And it just like you described, it just sprang out, and it was always about mass media, because I was like, microphone, but then the morbid kind of side of it, of having this death kind of edge by having the exposed ribs or whatever. And then it just blossomed from there, and a lot of other shit appeared. Nuclear missile and toxic waste.
I have it here. Let's pull it up.
Uncle Sam with sewage coming out of his mouth.
So I don't know in what order these are going to come up, but these are a few of your pieces here.
I appreciate it.
I think they're going to cover our face a bit, but I wanted them to be nice and big.
Oh, so please cover my face.
Let's see here. Should we jump straight to the one that you were talking about?
We can.
Well, let's do one by one.
Yeah, why
not? Can you tell us a little bit about this piece?
Oh yeah, so we could talk about process more, because this actually has a totally different process. This is more like what my wife's work is, Renata, and if you want to check her out, Renata Rodriguez. So Renata Rodriguez for you Americans. This is like her process in that I don't have a plan. I'm just like, I like blue.
Right.
And I just start doing and this is a big ass painting, so it's about body mechanics. So this is 4 foot square. So like a lot of the movements are big old shoulder movements, and these kind of graceful-ish swoops and whatnot are the beginning. So what would be interesting is if I had given you the first pass, which was way, way, way less depth, obviously, and you can still see a lot of the white of the canvas, but it just starts with some swoops and some places, you could see like different universes, if you will, or portals, and I just start trying to find them, or they reveal themselves as I build out from the white and try to create depth.
This is so sick, dude.
This is so off
sick.
The cuff.
So stuff like this, when I talk about creative process, I often talk about how sometimes the best pieces, whether it be a song or a flyer for me that I've designed or written, it feels like I didn't create it.
Yeah.
It feels like it came from somewhere else, and I was kind of a medium for it to.
Yeah, you're the vehicle.
The vehicle.
It's divine intervention.
Right?
I'm not a religious person. I'm also I'm not against it or whatever.
Right.
I guess I'm agnostic. Whatever. Labels. But I have often felt in some of my best pieces, and music especially, lyrics, just like boppity bop bop bop. I'll write friggin' 40 bars of music, and I'm like, who did that?
Where did that come from?
And why is that rhyme scheme so much different than the last 6 things I wrote?
Yes.
So yeah, this is not. I will say though, this is not one of those. This was try, like
really
trudging uphill.
Yeah.
But like the one with the the ribs or whatever, that's divine intervention. I didn't paint that.
Really?
I mean, I had the paintbrush, and I was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of that. Now, there was a point where I found a giant mistake. I was like 75% of the way through, and I found a huge, like, fundamental bad drawing. I went back to the sketchbook, and I was like, yep, there it is. I did it on the sketch, too. Son of a bitch. That's when I came back down to earth. But, like, most of that was painted with no duress.
Right. You're just, like, kind of blacked out.
And it's a few sessions. Like not every session was like just magical.
Right.
There's always cursing and throwing paintbrushes and stuff.
This
because it's art.
It's just incredible, dude. This
Thanks.
is one of the reasons I reached out to you. When I walked into your studio over there at the Peach, I was just immediately blown away by the visceral feeling I got when
Thank you.
looking at your artwork. There's something so fantastical yet like rooted in these weird social dynamics that we deal with, and just the vibrancy of the color. And
Thanks.
this is just so fucking cool, dude.
These are from a series called Captains of Industry, and they're all about these different conglomerates, if you will, that are, I hate to say in control because we're really in control, but not presently, that are in control of our modern lives. Mass media is like one of the hugest ones, especially now with the internet. It was bad enough with just TV and movies and magazines, but like the soft-headed people get led around by their nose, and the internet's doing a bang-up job of turning everyone into some kind of automatron. But they're all about something like that. And the reason that I love these paintings, other than that they're fun to do, I mean, they're a giant pain in the ass because they're each 10-inch square is a friggin' painting. But at the end of the day, when they're done and the pain of doing them is gone, and I'm standing there, sometimes eavesdropping on people, and I'm listening to them talk about it, 9 times out of 10, even though they're a bit morbid or crazy or weird or whatever, they are a unifying force. And I don't mean that, again, not to pat myself on the back, but this type of art, whether it be from Ralph Steadman, the guy who used to do stuff with Hunter Thompson, or whatever it is, if it's got a social leaning, and it's not skewed left or right, it's just
Yes.
about a thing,
Yes.
and it brings up the discussion, that makes it unifying to me.
Right.
Because it could be viewed political, and there's a couple other ones that are obviously political in nature, but they are not pro or anti anything. They are.
It's like a screen capture of a
Yeah.
moment
Yeah.
in time.
Here's my little tagline: it's not left or right; it's wrong and right.
Ah, I like
So
that.
everyone can agree that mass media's influence on us is a negative thing,
Yes.
generally. The one that's I think is in the mix here too, the one about politics. It could be said.
I'm
We
gonna
can talk about
jump
that
around a
one.
little bit. Yeah, this is rhetoric, right?
All right, so if a Trumper comes in, all they see is, oh yeah, it's fucking Democrats. And if a lefty comes in, oh yeah, that's Trump, right? And I'm just like, doesn't look anything like Trump, but
It
whatever.
doesn't.
You
It
see what
doesn't.
you see.
Yeah.
But I'm like, look closer though. Look closer. Red and blue, red and blue, red
Yep.
and blue. Right? Both parties suck is like the funny little thing that everyone says. But unfortunately, it is a pretty terrible truth that's going on. Both parties are pretty much just two sides of the same coin.
Yes.
This has all been said, but it's just not common knowledge. And so I had to paint about it because I just got sick of having dead-end conversations with people who are blockheads about it. All right, I'm going to toe the line, toe the blue line to my grave. And I'm like, that's great. Stand on opinion. That's really going to work out for you in the long run. So, and this painting, you know what? Funniest thing, no one gets pissed off about the burning flag or anything like that. They just see what they want to see. And I'm like, no, America is falling apart. It's not even really the American flag. There's the Chinese star and the
hammer and sickle.
and it's red instead of blue. You could see the blue peeking through. It's like that has been painted over, and it's disappearing. Like all these things that we hold so dearly about America and how great it is really just being pissed upon in a lot of ways.
And slightly influenced by China and Russia
I would say. I mean, again, I'm not
through social media and
sure
stuff.
bots. I mean, I'm not. Again, I don't go down conspiracy wormholes, but
Understood.
a lot of them hold water.
Yeah. Right.
That's what makes them great theories, right?
Right.
But it's just a theory until proven. It's a thesis.
Yeah, I agree with that, and
But
I
yeah.
think it's good to keep an even keel on stuff.
This one doesn't unify people. I will say that.
Really?
I mean, centrists come in and go, "Yeah, dude,"
Right.
but like, or whatever, libertarian, someone who's not skewed one way or the other,
Yeah.
or if they happen to be a Democrat, but they're like, "Yeah, that was messed up when this Democrat did that wrong thing." If they're, what do you want to say, open-minded?
Right.
But yeah, if they're convinced of how right their view is, then no, this is not a unifier. But I
think
had to
this
paint
is
it.
this is brilliant.
Thanks.
And now with this one, did this come to you as like you saw the image and you're like, okay, I think I want to create like a politician in a microphone, or how did this start? I don't want to dig too deep and give away
No.
your jewels.
They're spoken for, sir. No, this is fully realized in the sketchbook. Like,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
not color, but it's everything shaded. Like it's its own piece of work. And whoever buys this, I'm going to offer that as an upsell. Like, you want to take the original drawing as well, because it looks exactly friggin' like this. Because if I nail the drawing, I actually project it. I don't redraw the bitch. I put it.
Brilliant.
I put it digitally. I project
Yeah.
it so I get generally the same feel as I had, because I don't want to reimagine this dude. He has a very specific look to him,
Yep.
which in this case, he's just like a bright-eyed and bushy-tailed dipshit at the beginning of his political career, thinking he might make change, but he doesn't realize he's already barfing out all this rhetoric
Yes.
just to toe the line. I'll say what I need to say to get in, and then I'll make the changes. No, you won't.
Right. It never happens, sadly.
Hate to be cynical.
Yeah.
I still participate in politics, but very begrudgingly.
Yeah.
And I always waste my vote. If anyone out there is wondering where I stand, I'm
Yeah.
always pissing my vote away on some magical unicorn.
Yeah. Some moderate, somebody who's like not going to have a chance, but just seems to make the most sense.
I just feel
Isn't
like
that common?
if
It's
we
like they'll
keep-
never win, but they'd probably be the best candidate.
yes, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And I don't know why that's not common knowledge. Everyone's afraid of something that's not what they're used to, right? But just because something's been around for a long time doesn't mean it's good.
Yes.
Sometimes it does, but like
Actually, often the latter.
it's time for a change.
Time for a change.
You look at the lifespan of democracy. We're coming up on expiration.
250 years, I
Right?
think, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it feels like it too.
Cashing out. It's like an old onion you forgot about in the back of the vegetable drawer.
Fruit flies, baby.
It's dying.
Now
Oh, yay.
this one is fucking cool, dude.
This was in Respectables for a while.
Really?
Yeah, this was commissioned by Rodney Mayo, same guy who has the peach. But not in a like I want a teddy bear in a crane machine kind of way. That's not how he commissions. He says, I don't know, some of your characters, robots, doesn't matter. Like he's like one of the coolest clients ever in that way that he's just like
Creative license gives it to you.
he sees your portfolio. He's like,
Right.
you're known for do that.
Right,
And I'm just like, oh, I wish all clients were like you, man.
right.
So yeah, this was born of that absolute creative freedom. So and technically this was painted for me. And this started in the sketchbook too, but I had drawn each character individually and then slammed them together on the canvas.
Really?
Yeah. But it's got a story behind it, and it's called Fluffy Knuckles Coin Operated Emporium. And Fluffy Knuckles, I have still to yet decide whether Fluffy Knuckles is the guy still in there or the one that's being dropped out to the fiery pits of hell.
Dude, the emotion that this draws out is just it's just so cool, man.
Thanks. This is one of my faves still to this day, and this is already 7 years old.
Really?
Yep.
It's the great thing about good art is that it's like it's timeless, man. You know, you wouldn't know when something like this was made, and I think it'll be that way forever, man.
This is currently residing in the subculture offices. I think last time I saw it was in the hallway somewhere.
Really?
So, yeah, it's still alive. It needs a touch up, but it lives and breathes
How
on.
big is this?
4 foot wide by
Yeah.
3 foot tall. That's my
so
favorite
sick.
size.
That's so sick, dude.
Not too small, not too big.
Let's see what else we have here. So this was the first one, and then this is another similar with the
Verge, yeah. This is so all these relatively chaotic ones that have a lot of layers and a lot of portals or whatever you want to say. There's looks like you can go through some of the holes. These are all from pardon me. These are all from a series called Left to Chance, and it's because of that process I was saying. No plan, no plan, paint jam. Just put the canvas out, get out a couple colors. Sometimes I'll challenge myself by saying, all right, I never used this color. Let me start with this. Or let me use a really shitty brush so I can't do what I usually do. Or let me start this with my left hand and see what happens. So this whole series is kind of that. And it's become more and more refined. So I think the series is actually dead in the water now because it's just become almost formulaic.
Right.
So now it's not Left to Chance.
Right,
So I'm going to
right.
stop. And I've actually moved on to another way of doing abstracts. But yeah, this is towards the end of the series. And funny story is this was sold. There's a whole other painting under this. And some of it is still there. And it was sold through a gallery, a furniture gallery, where they sold like whole rooms with the art. And the client came, after I arrived at the Peach, the client found me online or whatever and said, I've got one of your paintings. I'm moving to a smaller place. It won't fit in my new place. Will you take it back on consignment? And I was like, yeah. So they brought it back and I was like, wow, this sucks. I didn't say that to them. But, you know, it's like when you listen to an old track, you're like,
right.
oh.
I don't think it sucks at all, dude. I think it's fucking
No, but it
wild.
did. It did. It didn't suck. It was at the beginning of my abstract attempts.
Oh, before this is how to rework?
Yeah.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, understood.
2/3 of what you see is the rework.
Gotcha.
Some of the cool stuff underneath, like my favorite parts of the painting I describe as sucky, are still there. But the rest has been buried. And yeah, that's the fun story about that. It's still in the gallery. So if I ever sell it, I'm gonna give those fine gentlemen their cut back. But
the layering is wild because I'm trying to figure out what the old image was. The old image also abstract?
yes,
Okay.
but a lot simpler though, which some would argue was actually more effective because sometimes this chaos can be a bit much.
No, I love it.
Not everyone wants like a piece that kind of slaps them around. Some people just want to be soothed,
Right.
which is why there's Rothkos and stuff like that, where it's just like a couple movements and a couple colors and it's soothing. So that's the other reason I want to get away from it, because this was a good outlet for chaos, but I'm feeling less and less chaos in my life. So I don't need that outlet. So I'm going to keep it a little more straightforward in this next series.
Dude, you're so fucking talented, man. This
Thank you,
is
brother.
really, really cool work, man. You mentioned the iPad and Procreate. That's what
Yes.
you use, right?
Yes.
So you sent one of these. I guess it basically is Procreate showing your process. Is that
Time
what
lapse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is called Sprays.
Yeah. This is like an ode to the graffiti style. There's a lot of cool filters and brushes that you can screw around with. You see, I just get those splatters. It's like a couple little clicks with the pen and you get it. That's why digital sometimes is a bit of a cheat, but in a good way. And yeah, it's just me screwing around. This is actually pandemic work.
Oh yeah.
Sitting on the couch, I'm just like, I didn't even really go to the studio during the pandemic. I was like, well, I'm gonna die soon, so I just probably eat some Cheetos, get fat,
You and me both,
play
buddy.
with the.
I did a
iPad.
post on Facebook like 2 or 3 months in. I said if we put on weight during the lockdowns or whatever, it wasn't a. What did I say? I was like it was a vacation and not a lockdown. You know what I mean? I did. I put on like 15, 20 pounds. Cheesecake Factory was across the street. We get a slice of cheesecake every night to go.
Screw it.
Not good, buddy. I put on like 30 pounds.
But it does feel like vacation.
Right?
And then we ate like kings. We're like, well, if it's the end of the world, I should probably have another helping.
No kidding.
I mean, you tell yourself all kinds of stuff, right?
Yeah, just super talented, awesome
you,
stuff.
brother.
And you said you don't really do graffiti, but this was just like graffiti inspired.
Yeah, and in those Left to Chance series, I think a lot of people would see like some of that wild style lettering where it turns in on itself and then it reappears somewhere else and ribbons around. A lot of that appears in graffiti. People who are fans of it will obviously see that I've done a rip. But, you know, everything's derivative of something. And I'm a big fan of that stuff because I think it's genius. When I see this lettering, people are like, oh, you can't even read what it is. I'm like, who cares? I mean, look at that thing, man.
Right.
It's like an alien language. It's like hieroglyphs.
Right.
So I got addicted to that. And like I said, I've rubbed elbows with a lot of graph guys on some of these walls. I've got to lead some projects where, you know, again, I was watching the magic happen in front of me. I got buddies who can do like little things with the can that I have a hard time doing with a brush. There's some magicians, some wizards out there. But yeah, I just got addicted to the aesthetic and I started letting it bleed into my work. And since I do stuff out in the world, public art style, I get thrown into the whole street art thing anyway.
Right. When you do these murals out, is it what they call rattle can? Are you doing with spray paint or do you use?
I'm brush.
Okay.
Grandpa still uses the brush.
Yeah, no, I mean,
I've played with the can. I just never dedicated the time, and I still could. I just don't know if I want to huff fumes or wear a mask.
Yeah.
I've used cans to sketch or fill. Like something's real bumpy, it's good to you want to paint it gray, just use a can.
Right.
But my final cuts and stuff with a can are just garbage. So I stick to the brush.
It is unbelievable. Like wizard is a great term. What people do with a spray can.
Unreal.
They've got all the different tips to change the stuff. And still, even with tips, like I spray painted the stools downstairs and they look fucking terrible, you know? It's not easy to do.
Fix the rest with lighting.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Turn the
think
lights off.
some of my buddies are like, they don't try to talk me into it, but whenever it comes up, they're like, messing around with the cans yet? I was like, no. And I have like a stockpile of great spray paint too that I could totally, and I think I need to like go down the road a little bit because some of my favorite graph guys actually are badass brush painters.
Right.
That when they put the two together, you're like, you can't even tell what the hell happened. Like if you see a photo on Instagram, you're like, oh cool, digital. Like that's how sick it looks. You're just like, you can't tell where the can left off and the brush picked up. It just looks just ungodly. So
I love
I
that
probably will.
multi-medium style when you can clearly see the two different mediums, you know, when you see that some was paint or that some is like a neo-traditional and some of it is like photorealistic. I
Yeah.
love seeing that contrast
Yeah.
in one piece, you
Yeah,
know.
I do too.
Speaking of which, if you're cool with it, I have a good buddy who's a muralist.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show you a little bit of his work.
Oh,
His
do
name's
that.
Garrett Malachute. He goes by Coote, Koote 23 on Instagram.
Cool.
And he started off as a photographer who would come around the tattoo shop and just wanted to help, right? Nobody ever thought he was going to be an artist. He begged for an apprenticeship. That apprenticeship, I mean, this guy has become, I didn't put any of his tattoos on here and I should have. This is a mural he did in
that's
Charlotte. That's in
spectacular.
Charlotte of Lil Baby. Now, I did screenshots of very small images, so you'll have to excuse the quality. Garrett,
Sure.
if you see this, sorry, bud. Like, this is a screenshot of Instagram.
Oh yeah.
The little arrow there, you know?
It's killer though. Faces are no
so
joke.
he also does real, what's that called? The engine, the real engine? Is that what it's called? In 3D space.
Okay.
Unreal, the Unreal Engine, he creates in 3D space. And he's starting to do these like whole otherworldly environments.
Love
And
it.
then he'll find one angle in there and that is the piece, you know?
Got it. Got it.
And it's just unreal. And he's going to turn it into like NFTs and
Sure.
stuff, which is something
Sure.
else I wanted to talk to you
That's
about.
the next realm.
There's a rapper named Kasky who did an album and he put on his Instagram that he was looking for muralists to do one mural for each song on the album. So I
Cool.
messaged him and was like, I have a friend who's a muralist. And this guy's like signed to Cash Money.
Yeah.
He responded and said, oh,
Hell
send
yeah.
him my way. So my friend got commissioned to do this massive mural of
That is massive.
for one of the songs.
That's spectacular.
Now, this is something very interesting. He
Oh, I
goes
love
into
shit
the
like
woods and wraps cellophane between two trees
Yep.
and creates stuff like
Yep.
this.
Continues the environment.
Is that wild?
I love when people do that.
I had never. Now, this is a screenshot of a video. If you go to his Instagram, he does like a panning video of it, which really gives the full impact. But, and you know, he was like, his progression is just insane. Super talented dude. And I wanted to share his work with you.
I love it.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna give him a follow. Hell yeah.
Garrett Malachute. He goes by Coote 23. Again, super talented dude.
For sure.
So yeah,
Best
NFT,
wishes.
Thanks, man. NFTs. You were talking about if somebody buys a piece of artwork, they can get your sketchbook of
Yep.
it too.
Yep.
Are you diving into NFTs at all?
I'm flirting with it. I'm in a waiting circle with a company that facilitates it, because I'm not the type, although I'm a self-starter, I'm not the type to devote a lot of time to learning a new thing on the cusp,
Yeah.
because then the actual craft that I'm trying to put into this new thing will die in the window, as it were. So I went more the route of, and I got some artist friends that are kicking ass. They're still making work, and they know the game, and they're playing it, and they're winning it. I'm just not that guy. So I'm close to signing something with a company that does facilitate. They themselves, the reason I'm in a waiting situation is they are in a renaissance of sorts, because the whole thing of mining it and all that is that everyone's trying to get it carbon neutral, because it's such a monster to get it to happen, which
Yeah.
I don't understand exactly why it is, but it's just so much computing that occurs in order to get it to be what it is, to be an NFT, to be out
I
on the market.
also don't understand.
Not quite.
You know,
I'm like, isn't it just a digital
image,
MP4 or
but
something?
it has something to do with blockchain.
Yep.
You know,
It's-
which is still very Greek
It's them.
to me.
Yeah, it's them. For lack of a better, it's them blocking the fact that because anyone can right-click my crap off of my website and make a T-shirt, right?
Right.
And that's the crappy part.
Right.
But I'm not into watermarking and that shit. But that's about the NFTs. What makes it worth something, because digitally you think, oh, we just run off a bunch of prints. But the NFT is not something that you can do that with. And I
Right.
guess that's where all that technology and all that keyboard tapping and all that energy, literal energy, goes into. I still don't quite get it.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I think, you know, art for a long time, especially with the internet, very easy to steal from people.
Sure.
So if this is a new way to protect artists and make sure artists are getting paid for
Yeah.
their work online,
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic.
I do too, generally. And the cynic in me, if you haven't noticed, I'm a bit of a cynic, is that, you know, again, it's another Pandora's box. So we're only going to see what the downside of it is, because there already kind of is one in a similar state of people taking images and making NFTs out of them, and it's not their damn image.
Right.
So that's rampant. In fact, there's probably some of my shit floating around there right now. Someone's making bank off of.
No shit.
How do you find it? It's like a pebble in the ocean. So there's that. But generally, I think anything that helps artists thrive is good.
Yeah.
Because back to the whole, we were saying like murals revitalizing neighborhoods. Well, art just in general, you have to have art, music, and nature would be on that list too, in order for us to function as a society that is not just face in the screen. And we need to be cultured, and art's going to do that. And if that comes, if your face is in the screen but an NFT is bringing you that culture and making you feel a way or making you think things you haven't thought before, then it's a freaking win. So I'm totally for it.
Well, I'll be excited to see that journey, and
I'm excited.
Maybe purchase a Craig Mcinnis NFT myself one day.
The first ones they want to scoop is social political. It's not those pieces per se, but I do have this little book that I did of poetry and cartoons, and it's called the Oddball Manifesto. And they want to recreate that whole Oddball Manifesto, but in the NFT platform. So I'm excited.
Is that a book that's available to purchase online?
Yes.
Cool. We'll make sure we put all your links in the description and stuff.
Cool. Yes, sir.
With humans and art and this new world that we're coming up into of artificial intelligence, and some people talking about the what's that called?
Neuralink.
Neuralink, and God, the word is escaping me. It's when humans merge with technology. It's the oh man, maybe I'll think of it.
Yeah.
But it's like we will never be able to recreate artificially like art, or intuition. Or this inspiration, you
can't program that.
Yeah, and I'm afraid that might be one of the things that gets lost.
I agree. I wasn't thrilled now I'm using digital, but when digital first came out, I'm just like, bah. It's kind of like you're standing on the shoulders of people who, busted their ass to learn how to draw with a stick of charcoal on a piece of paper. But that's like an old man bullshit way of thinking of it. That's like saying, oh, you're using samples? Well, can't you play an instrument? It's like, whatever. It's still an art form. It's not to be judged by anyone. I mean, it can be, but so I'm for it, but I do agree with you. There's a sterility to it that I don't care for.
Yeah.
The one thing about NFTs, and again, this is like an old man way, I don't like that there's not a physical thing. And some of these companies are making prints of it, so you can have a physical
thing that comes along with it.
But it's just like if the power grid goes down, your $1 million piece of art is gone. Is that what we're saying here?
Yes.
So that's weird. That's weird to me. But that could be said of like dance as well. Like dance happens in the moment, songs happen in the moment, and if they're not recorded on a thing that you could play later, it's just gone, and it only happened at that time. So that's all up for discussion. But yeah, I'm with you on that.
It's a little scary, dude.
Yeah, it's another. I keep saying Pandora's box, but it really is.
Yeah,
we're coming over the top of something. Hopefully, it's positive.
I think that life has also. We were talking about this earlier with tools, and it's like it'll be positive if it's used in a positive way.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's just like you hope that like the light wins, because there's weirdos in the world and people who maybe have a different agenda. And like, have you ever seen Ready Player One?
No.
It's like this, not so far distant future where we live in like double wide trailers stacked 10 high, and life is just super shitty. But the best part of everybody's day is when they go into virtual reality.
It's coming. Wally's my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm like that. I mean, that's America-ish, and I know that's kind of like their thing. They were snarking us, but
right.
It's people are. I almost generalize, but lots of people are super complacent, super lazy. If you make it easy for them, they'll take that route.
Right.
And that's unfortunate that is becoming human nature. Human nature used to be, pull up your bootstraps and kick ass, and if you gotta knock some stuff out of the way, then that's what you do. And now people are like, oh, it's in my way, I'm gonna go around. Oh, that's block 2. I guess I'll quit.
Right.
Right. And I don't know about your dad, but my dad was like, no, you don't quit.
Right.
Like, even if you're terrible, just keep doing it, see if you get better. Play through the season of Little League. Now, we did find out that I was complete shit, but there was no way I was gonna quit after 2 games.
Yes.
Just go out there and suck.
Right.
Oh, these other kids are better. Yeah, that's life. Welcome to life. I think that's disappearing, and it's a little frightening.
But this is probably an inevitable part of our story as humans, is this merging with technology.
Agreed.
You mentioned Neuralink.
It's not a Cyberdyne scenario.
I don't know Cyberdyne.
Oh, sorry, Terminator. The Terminator.
Okay.
Where the computers are finally just like, you know what? I'm done with these meat bags. They gotta go.
Dude, once we tell artificial intelligence to like fix global warming, they're gonna be like, oh, easy. It's
You're
the
gone.
humans. You know?
What do they need us for? That's the thing. At the end of the day, like everyone's like, oh, it'll be amazing. It'll revolutionize everything. And it's like, yeah, but it's just like the internet. On paper, it looks like it'll make everything better, but at the same time, it's making more dumbasses. So in theory, AI will be amazing unless it's not, unless it gets in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
The A-bomb, whatever. So I don't know, dude. I have a lot of friends that are like on that new age tip, and there's like this, there's this purveying thought of everything has to reach a peak, and I'm going to paraphrase the shit out of it. Everything has to reach this peak of shittiness in order for there to be a rebirth, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm with that. We're not at the peak? Jesus Christ, like how far up this trash pile do we need to get before we're at the pinnacle where it tips over the top and there's a new consciousness and people get reconnected to nature and people hold the doors open and people say thank you again? I mean, I know this is like, now I'm sounding like the old man and get off my lawn, you little shits.
No, it makes total sense.
But it's like, how far, like when is it? I don't need it to be now. I'm just curious, like it's been getting pretty terrible. Like society is getting less and less intuitive and more disconnected. Like, is AI the pinnacle? Like, is that what it is?
So the word I was thinking of is what you're talking. It's called the singularity.
Okay.
The singularity is the merging of like this exponential growth of technology ends up to be a singularity where your consciousness will be uploaded.
Correct.
And then there, we live online, and that's like,
so we're immortal now.
Correct.
Unless you believe in souls.
Which I do.
Sure. So we're not immortal. Our memories and our habits and all that crap will be there.
Right, but not you.
I don't think we will.
No, you won't.
That's not possible.
Your family members will be able to have a conversation with you based on, this thing that you did, like read 1,000 words into a microphone, and then they're able to like recreate things based on some settings and whatnot. But it's not you.
No, it's a robot.
Yeah, it's a robot.
It's that altered carbon. I don't know if you saw that show, but that's basically it. There's a bunch of
I know of it, but I don't know
avatars.
Really?
Yeah.
I need to watch that.
It's cool. But yeah, it's that whole thing. And I was watching Elon on Rogan, and they were talking about AI because Rogan's like me. He's like, I don't know, dude. I think, things going to swallow us. It's going to be like, these things are in the way of progress.
That's exactly right.
But
Elon's been saying the same thing.
Yeah, he's like, pump the brakes, people. But at the same time, he's developing Neuralink. So he's going to be part of the solution or the problem. We don't know.
Great point.
But he's like, we are already symbiotic to a degree because we are cyborgs.
Yes.
It's not in us yet, but we're also already programming AI, aka Google.
Yeah.
Right? It knows our thoughts, it knows our habits.
Yes.
It knows the collective thoughts and habits, right? Oh, people in this section of the country always
based
search
by
this.
region and stuff. Yeah.
So the AI brain is already kind of there. The internet is holding it. And so I don't know how that links up to this new stuff. I'm sure it's going to play a huge part in the Neuralink thing, but so being that the internet has a positive and negative side, that's how it's getting programmed.
Yeah.
Like shit, that scares me too.
It's alarming, dude. It's alarming. And the data points that they're collecting, I heard that they've been able to collect data points on how hard you press your screen or how hard you press your keyboard and your typing patterns, that they can pinpoint you by that. Like,
that makes sense though.
Yeah.
That's
terrible.
terrible.
It's so scary, dude.
It's super terrible.
Well, which is kind of a full circle, great way to kind of wrap this all into a nice, pretty package, is why what you do is so important.
I appreciate that.
It's so important for us to appreciate art and for artists to take ideas and put them on canvas and share them in the physical realm, and for people to go down to the Peach and see your work in person, because we don't know how long our lives are going to be able to be like this, where we can enjoy, human experience, human interaction, physical art. It's
super
just so
underrated.
important.
It's super underrated.
Yeah.
Already interactions. And listen, I'm guilty too. I'm not like, I used to be the type of person who would go to a music festival and get in there with my brethren, and now I'm like, too many people.
Yeah.
Can't go.
I totally agree with that. But I do want to be in the group of 10 people on the side,
totally,
enjoying ourselves,
and I do want to bring my new neighbor a gift when they arrive to the neighborhood. I still want to do all that old school shit. That's the part I'm really talking about.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you, and thanks for having that that thought and that realization, because this simple stuff is it. The sticking your feet in the stream and being in wonder when you go to the museum, like, how the hell did he paint this or sculpt this? That's what makes us human.
Yeah.
And all the clickety clackety bullshit and all this flashy lights is all just nonsense.
Yeah. Well, I think we should try
Kill
to
the internet, bro.
Stay human as long as possible. You know what I mean?
I think we'll be gone.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 50.
I'm 30. You're 50?
I'm 50.
Dude, you look fantastic,
Thanks, brother.
man. That's because you're like you're vibrant and it was
Low
like
stress.
no stress.
Low stress.
Low
I wouldn't say
stress.
no. I'm still in business.
The gentleman who was on before you, my friend Shane, he's an air traffic controller.
Holy damn.
Yeah, him and his
That's
team.
stressful, isn't it?
Yeah, him and his team. I don't know if you heard about the guy who was on a private plane from the Bahamas a few weeks ago, and the
Nope.
pilot went incoherent.
Nope.
And the passenger, after the plane takes a nosedive, the passenger pulls the plane back up to straight, then radios into air traffic control, and they talk this guy in who's never flown an airplane in his life, and they land him at PBI here.
Holy shit.
This was just a few weeks ago. Unbelievable story. But what Shane talked about was something that a coach from Duke said, that there's a difference between stress and pressure.
Sure.
Stress is, and I think the word was stress, is when you go in unprepared, right? Pressure is when you're prepared.
Sure.
And that, and I thought, I hope I'm not butchering that. I probably am.
No, but I get the sentiment. It's concocted to a degree. You created the stress.
Yes.
Because you didn't get your shit together before.
Yes.
Or your mind isn't right. Maybe you're prepared, but your head's up your ass, or you're worried. And so you do a lackluster job and you make it crappy for yourself. Yeah,
Right.
that makes tons of sense.
Or procrastination. It took me a decade of my 20s to realize that procrastination is, I always made excuses. Well, I work better under pressure. It's like,
Oh, I love that one.
yeah, okay, maybe you do. But if you want to really tackle life, like, just get prepared, get your shit in order. You know what
There's
I mean?
a great book out there. It's called The Power of Now.
Oh, I don't know
And someone gave it to me, and I never read it. But just the title. I don't need to read it. That's
Right,
it.
I got it. I
get it.
Right.
Yeah, 200 pages. Nah. But it took a while for it to stick, though. I'm not saying I just saw the title and I was like, ding, okay,
Right.
I'm productive.
Right.
But it's so less stressful to just do everything in the moment.
Right.
I get an email and someone's like, hey, you forgot to send in your W-9. Tickety-tack, boom, send.
Yes.
Instead of like, because then it's an ember just burning in your mind. And,
Yeah.
and then there's 30
Or
embers.
the ember dies.
Or you forget, yeah.
And
and then you're a shitty business
I've
person.
said it right. I've said it so much in this new business specifically, and we talked to our team about it. Like, if there's something that needs to be done, there's no point in thinking I'll get to that. It's like, you got to do it right now. And I say it. I'm like, you guys are just like me. I got ADD. I'll forget to do it. And that's the thing about life. Like, like you said, the power of now. I should probably read it, or maybe I don't need to. I get it. Do it now.
Just look at the spine. That's all I did. It sat on the bookshelf. I moved, and I was like, I'm not gonna read that.
Are you a reader?
Gave it away. Fiction mostly, but yeah, I'll read. I have read some. I was just saying how I got my ass handed to me by like Dalai Lama, The Art of Happiness, or like the type of book where you read a third and you're just like, I can't.
Right.
Or like the Hawking Theory of Everything. Nah, I probably did like 2 chapters and I was like, I can't. My eyes are melting.
Right.
But yeah, so I will try to dive into those types of things. I like philosophy. I like sociology. But I always end up back like reading a Stephen King book or something like that.
No
Something dark.
shit.
Something inspiring for me in my work, because I do the haunted house thing. So
What do you mean you do the haunted house thing?
Oh, we didn't even touch on it. So we'll have to talk some other time. But I am a creative director for Fright Nights at the South Florida Fairgrounds.
What?
Yeah. Sorry.
How sick
Failed
is
to mention that.
dude?
Oh, it's a dream job, because all the weird and dark shit that I keep in my soul, and sometimes it leaks into the artwork, is exactly what that job is about. I started out as a set painter because the faux finishing stuff. Can you make this look like
right.
old or whatever, or rusty? But then it blossomed into, hey, you want to do a haunted house? So like the designer in me came out, and then it eventually, over the years of people leaving or flaking out, and I was like, I'll do that. And my boss, who's the CFO there, my boss for that season, was very much a fan of me and this other guy, Alex, a friend of mine, and he just gave us the reins basically. He's like, well, I don't want to do this shit. Here, you guys do it.
Dude, how amazing is that?
So we've been at it since. I've been out there since '03, coming up on our 20-year anniversary.
Holy shit, dude.
But I've been I've been in this position for, I don't know, since 08 or 09, something like that.
Dude, that is so cool. I
Great
have a
gig.
friend who used to do, I don't know what exactly his job title was there. His name is Nick Ayala.
I know Nick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I told him I was having this amazing artist on named Craig, and he's like, Craig Mcinnis? I know Craig, and
Yeah.
I forgot about that because he had mentioned that to me.
Yeah.
That's cool. Well, maybe I can get you back on before that starts or when that's
Maybe
going
in the fall
on.
we can chat about
Exactly, and we
It'll
can
be a hot
kinda-
topic.
Yeah, exactly.
The place is the place is amazing. It's I have a lot of pride in it because we've taken it a long way. It was just a little baby, and it was really. And then we did a lot of digging around and going to other haunted houses and seeing how the big boys are doing it,
Yeah.
and stealing ideas and making them our own. And yeah, it's been a great journey. It's cranking up right now. We're in pre-production,
Yeah.
doing all the graphics and the branding and the whatnot. Yeah, so it's coming. Whenever
That's
summer
so
comes, I'm like,
sick.
oh my god, because we start in August because we build it and then tear it down. So.
Right.
We have to start from scratch every year, pretty much,
Oh, wow.
which is huge undertaking.
yeah, massive
But,
undertaking.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's a deep well to talk about, and anyone who's into production or like behind the scenes stuff, there's a lot to see and know, and they'll be totally into the way that it works. Because I was ignorant to how big productions happen until I got thrown into the pit of vipers, as it
Yeah.
were.
That's so sick. You know, some of these haunted houses, they take it pretty far. Have you heard about this one guy that you got to sign like the 30-page waiver, and
That's
he like puts you into like freezers and like some
they
people
take your clothes.
Maybe one person even has died or
Yeah,
something.
they take your clothes, they pee on you, they do all kinds of it's
Yeah.
basically the part about, and I get because everything's extreme, you got to take it to the edge.
Right.
But paying someone to like whoop my ass and stuff. Oh, there's this one part where there's pillowcases with batteries in it. No, I'm good.
No,
I don't want to be
thanks.
hazed.
I'll pass.
Here's my $80. Haze me.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's a trend, just like a lot of other trends, and
Yeah.
whatever, people are into it. They want to be peed on. That's fine.
Right. But it's called Fright Nights, right?
Ours is called Fright Nights, and there's no urine.
There's no
I mean-
urine and no pillowcases of batteries. It's.
I mean, I have one in case of emergency, and sometimes people pee themselves. There is that.
Well, that's how you know job well done.
And I'm not even joking.
I
Like,
can only
seriously.
imagine.
Puke
I don't
and pee.
do.
Not
I
to
don't
be
do
gross, but-
scary. I don't do scary. That my wife and I we don't do scary that well. So I probably would urinate on myself.
I still want you to come out though. We're gonna get you
We'll
out
be
there VIP.
That would
It's a
be
lot
an
of
honor.
startles.
That-
It's a lot
we're
of
with
startles
that.
because that's how you get people on the quick. We can't really get into their brain too much. We leave that to them. Like if they're like, "Holy shit!" Like what was that kind
Right.
of thing? We leave that to them. But it's really like a wham bam, thank you, man.
Right,
You
the
go through the house,
startle.
and you're just like, "What the hell just happened to me?" Like I
Right.
saw so much stuff coming at me. It's one hell of an experience, and like I said, we're really proud of the monster that we built out there, and it takes a gigantic team to do it. So many talented people out there.
So fucking cool, man. You're
Yeah, man.
obviously good at what you do. You've been
Living a
doing it
great
a
life.
long time, man.
I can't believe people pay me to do half the stuff I do.
Same.
It's a blessing, man.
Yeah, I'm like, well, nobody really pays me.
You get paid.
Yeah, I do. Well, Craig, this has been an absolute
Hell
blast,
yeah.
dude.
Thanks for inviting
I
me.
get nervous when I'm going to sit down with somebody who I don't know. I'm
Sure.
like, what are we going to talk about? I'm like nervous. I'll have trouble keeping the conversation going forward. But often, I'm just so blessed to sit down with somebody who is like,
Thanks,
this
brother.
was just easy and fun. And you're a very interesting dude.
Thanks, man.
And I can't thank you enough.
I was gonna say, what are we gonna talk about?
Right?
Everything.
Yeah, everything. The theory of
Checked it
everything.
off.
Yeah, no shit. Listen, if people want to follow your happenings,
Yes.
and maybe purchase an NFT or a piece of work or anything, support you, where do they do that?
The mothership is craigmckinnis.com, so that's my name spelt out, and I'm sure it'll be here, and I'll be sharing the heck out of this podcast. So you can find me at my website. If you physically want to, if you're old school and you want to come see me, the Peach is Palm Beach County's new art collective, 6 art studios, and I'm blessed to be one of them. And I manage the art program there, and there's also a barbecue joint there. So nice side note, come get some barbecue, see some art. I'm of course on Instagram and Facebook. Just search my name again, and check out Fright Nights. It's coming. But yeah, that's the easiest way to find me. Come to the Peach. I'd rather meet you in person.
Yeah, I highly suggest it. The Peach is a sick operation. The barbecue's delicious. The artists are extremely talented. They do art walks. They have live music. It's not far from here at all. I think that's Georgia and Belvedere, basically. There's a McDonald's. Go south, and it's right under Southern with a big peach above it.
Yeah, we're having comedy nights. We've had the film festival was there.
Yeah.
Like it's popping off, and we're like I said, we're only 9 months old, so I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the next 2-3 years because there's nothing like it here. I mean, there's some art districts, but like this one has the collective feel to it of collaboration and bringing in outside artists and like music videos getting filmed there, and like it's one of those things where a lot of creativity can happen, and we actually have no freaking idea what it's going to become. It's going to become a monster, a hub.
Those are the best things, you
Yeah.
know. It's like just go.
I got my thumb on the wheel, but like if the car wants to go over there,
Let
then we
it.
go. Yeah,
Let it.
let it
Craig?
decide for itself.
Absolute pleasure, buddy.
Pleasure.
Thank
I wish
you
the
so
best.
much. Yeah, likewise,
This
dude.
place is spectacular. If you guys don't know, I mean, you obviously know if you're following this, but come on,
Thank you.
this place is mobbed too.
It's all my wife's
Spectacular.
it's all my wife's brainchild. I just do my best to try to bring it to life for her, and then she lets me do a little podcast upstairs.
Good for you.
Thanks, brother. Thank
Appreciate
you so
you.
much. Again,
Stay
thank
well,
you.
yeah.
Guys, this is Craig Mcinnis. Make sure you follow him on social media. Go to his website. Thanks for being a fly on the wall during this conversation. We will see you next time live from Hakuna.
Later, y'all.
Later.